Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey in Modern English by Ingersoll Lockwood. Publisher's Introduction. Thank you for picking up a copy of Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey by Ingersoll Lockwood. We have updated this work into modern English so you can understand exactly what Lockwood wrote over 100 years ago. If you enjoy this book, please share with a friend, leave a positive review on Amazon, and see more updated works at oldbooknew.com. Chapter 1. Bulger wasn't acting like himself at all, my dear friends. His eyes looked dull, and his tail only wagged a little when I talked to him. I say a little, because I always thought the other end of Bulger's tail was connected to his heart. His appetite was low, just like his mood, and he hardly did more than sniff at the tasty food I gave him, even though I tried to tempt him with fried chicken livers and toasted rooster combs, two of his favorite meals. He clearly had something on his mind, but I never guessed what it was. To be honest, it was something I never would have expected to find there. I might have figured out what was going on earlier if I hadn't been so busy at the time. I was too occupied to pay much attention to anyone, even my beloved pet. As you might recall, my mind is always buzzing with activity. Once I get interested in something, I become so focused that even if Castle Trump caught fire and burned until my chair legs were charred, I probably wouldn't notice the noise or smell the smoke. At the time when Bulger was feeling down, the elder Baron received a gift from an old-school friend. It was a manuscript from the 15th century written by a famous thinker and philosopher, the learned Spaniard Don Constantino Bartolomeo Strephalofid Jeguaneri Youthful, who is usually called Don Fum by scholars. The manuscript was titled A World Within a World. In this work, Don Fum presented an amazing idea that the inside of our world might be inhabited. He explained that our planet is not solid and is actually hollow in many places. Long ago, there were huge disturbances on the surface of the Earth that forced people to find safety in these enormous underground spaces, which are so large that they can be called a world within a world. This book, with its wrinkled, torn and old pages that smell like a dusty attic, had a special charm for me. All day long, and often late into the night, I would sit and read its old and moldy pages, completely forgetting about the world above. My imagination would dive deep into these underground worlds, seeing and hearing the people who lived there. While I was busy with my work, Bulger, my dog, liked to sit on a special leather cushion I brought back from one of my trips to the east. I placed it at the end of my work table near the window. From there, Bulger could see everything happening in the park, on the terrace, and on the driveway leading to the front entrance. He didn't miss a thing. He would sit there for hours, watching all kinds of people come and go, from street vendors to the most important people in the area. One day I noticed Bulger suddenly jump off his cushion and let out a low growl, as if he was unhappy. I didn't think much of it, but to my surprise, the same thing happened again the next day around the same time. I was really curious now, so I put down Don Fum's old manuscript and quickly went to the window to find out why Bulger was upset. The secret was out. There were about 6 mixed-breed dogs from the tenants of the Baron's lands looking up at the window. They were barking and playing around, trying to get Bulger to come out and play. Dear friends, I don't need to tell you that Bulger didn't like this kind of behavior at all. Their boldness was just too much for him. I rang my bell and asked my servant to chase them away. After that, Bulger agreed to sit back down by the window. The next morning, just as I was getting comfortable for a nice long read, I was almost startled by Bulger bursting into the room. His eyes were blazing, and he was baring his teeth in anger. He grabbed the edge of my dressing gown and gave it a strong pull, which meant, "Put your book down, little master, and follow me." I did as he asked. He led me downstairs, across the hallway, and into the dining room. Then I saw why he was upset. Around his silver breakfast plate sat an old tabby cat and 4 kittens, all happily licking and eating his breakfast. He looked up at me and let out a loud, complaining howl, as if to say, "Look at that, little master. Isn't that enough to test the patience of a saint? Can you blame me for not being happy with all these annoying things happening to me? I'm telling you, little master, it's too much for anyone to handle." I thought the same thing and tried my best to comfort my sad little friend. But imagine my surprise when we got to my room and I told him to sit on his cushion, and he refused to do it. It was something unusual, and it made me think. He noticed this and happily barked, then ran into my bedroom. He was gone for a few moments and then came back with a pair of oriental shoes in his mouth, which he placed at my feet. Over and over he disappeared and returned each time with a piece of clothing in his mouth. In just a few moments, he had laid out a complete oriental outfit on the floor in front of me. And would you believe it, dear friends? It was the exact same outfit I had worn on my last travels to distant lands, when he and I were shipwrecked on the island of Gogala, the land of the round bodies. What did it all mean? Well, this, of course. Little master, can't you understand your dear Bulger? He's tired of this boring and lifeless existence. He's fed up with these mixed-breed dogs in the neighborhood getting too friendly and the boldness of these kitchen cats and their families. He begs you to leave this life of daydreaming and doing nothing, and for the honor of the Trumps to get up and go on another adventure. Bending down and wrapping my arms around my dear Bulger, I shouted, "Yes, I understand you now, faithful friend, and I promise you that before this moon is full, we will leave Castle Trump again, off to find the entrance to Don Fum's world within a world." When Bulger heard this, he started barking wildly and jumping around as if he was filled with excitement. In the middle of his playful antics, a quiet knock on my room door made me call out, calm down, good Bulger. Someone is knocking. Calm down, I say." It was the older Baron. With a serious look and a dignified walk, he came over and sat next to me on the bench. "Welcome, honored father," I exclaimed as I took his hand and kissed it. "I was just about to come find you." He smiled and then said, "Well, little Baron, what do you think of Don Fum's world within a world?" "I believe, my lord," I replied, "that Don Fum is correct. Such a world must exist. With your permission, I plan to quickly and safely set out to find its entrance as soon as my dear mother, the kind Baroness, can bear to let me go." The elder Baron was quiet for a moment, then said, "Little Baron, even though your mother and I will worry about you being away from the safety of this old house, which has protected many generations of the Trumps, we must not be selfish. Heaven forbid that we should stop you. The honor of our family and your reputation as an explorer of distant lands call us to be brave. So, my dear boy, get ready and go out once more to find new wonders. The wise Don Fum's map will be like a safe and trustworthy guide for you. Remember, little Baron, the Trump family motto, per ardua ad astra, through difficulties to the stars. But I will always be comforted knowing that when your sharp mind fails, Bulger's perfect instinct will be there to guide you." As I bent down to kiss the elder Baron's hand, the kind Baroness came into the room. Bulger quickly stood up on his back legs and licked her hand to show a respectful hello.